Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा
श्रीवासादि गौड़ भक्त वृंदा।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 1 चैप्टर 13 वर्स 5। प्रत्युजग्मु प्रहर्षेण प्राणं तन्वैवागतम् अभिसंगम्य विधिवत् परिष्वङ्गाभिवादनै प्रत्युजग्मु प्रहर्षेण प्राणं तन्वैवागतम् अभिसंगम्य विधिवत् परिष्वङ्गाभिवादनै प्रत्युजग्मु प्रहर्षेण प्राणं तन्वैवागतम् अभिसंगम्य विधिवत् परिष्वङ्गाभिवादनै Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Charanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms: Prati, towards. Ujagmu, went. Praharshena, with great delight. Pranam, life. Tanva, of the body. Iva, like. Agatam, returned. Abhisangamya, approaching.
Avishangamya, approaching.
Vidhivat in due form.
Vidivat in due form.
Parishvanga embracing.
Parishvanga
Sangha
embracing.
Abhivadanai by obeisances.
Abhivadanai by
obeisances.
obeisances.
Translation, please repeat after me. With great delight, they all approached him.
With great delight, they all
approached him.
As if life had returned to their bodies.
as if life had returned to their body.
They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces.
They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces.
Purport.
In the absence of consciousness, the limbs of the body remain inactive. But when consciousness returns, the limbs and senses become active, and existence itself becomes delightful. Vidur was so dear to the members of the Kaurav family that his long absence from the palace was comparable to inactivity. All of them were feeling acute separation from Vidur, and therefore his return to the palace was joyful for all.
Hariom Tatsatum Gyanita Virandasya Gyana Jnana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pathaka Swamin Iti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Kripa Pradhayine Gaurakatha Damadhaya Nagara Grama Tarini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavate Paschatya Desata Harine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulangai Tegarinat Kripatamaham Desri Gurum Denatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. So, the association of pure devotees are very touching. That their absence are in one sense intolerable. Everyone would have experienced in our group the separation from our Guru Maharaj, and as soon as we see him, how we feel like the life returns to the body. For an unconscious person, like Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, an unconscious person cannot move his limb of his body. All the limbs would remain inactive. But as soon as he became conscious, all the senses become active. You would have seen when anesthesia is given for some surgery or something, the limbs are not working. And as soon as the anesthesia effect is gone, he feels the pain, and all, limbs and everything become very active. It is like that when a pure devotee, when he is separated, it's like they're just living lifeless. And as soon as he comes, as soon as they saw Vidur, they got so much, delightful. Because Vidur was pure devotee and he was so dear to all the Kaurava family members. So much dear that they were really feeling a pang of separation from Vidur. And when they were able to see him back, the happiness is unlimited. And because of acute separation from Vidur, they have feeling. And returns of this Vidur is so joyful that they felt the life has returned to the body and now they feel like living. Actually, living means being in happy, situated in blissfulness is called a living. So as soon as you get association of a pure devotee, you started living. So that is a description in the purport. Let's go to the next verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 6. Mumuchu prema bashpaugam.
Mumuchu prema bhashpaugam.
Virhaut kantya katara.
Virahau kanti katara.
Rajatham arhayam chakre.
Rajatam arhayam chakre.
Kritasana parigraham.
Kritasana parigraham.
Mumuchu prema bashpaugam.
Mumuchu prema
prema
bhashpaugam.
bhashpaugam.
Virahau kantya katara.
Virahau kantya
Virahau
katara.
katara.
Rajatham arhayam chakre.
Rajatam
Rajatam
arhayam
arhayam
chakre.
chakre.
Kritasana parigraham.
Kritasana
Kritasana parigraham.
Mumuchu prema bashpaugam.
Mumuchu prema
Mumuchu prema
bhashpaugam.
bhashpaugam.
Virahau kantya katara.
Virahau
Virahau
kantya
kantya
katara.
katara.
Rajatham arhayam chakre.
Rajatam
Rajatam
arhayam
arhayam
chakre.
chakre.
Kritasana parigraham.
Kritasana
Kritasana
parigraham.
parigraham.
Synonyms: mumuchu, emanated.
Mumuchu
Mumuchu
emanated.
emanated.
Prema, affectionate.
Prema
Prema
affectionate.
affectionate.
Bashpa ogham, emotional tears.
Bhashpaugam
Emotional
emotional
tears.
tears.
Viraha, separation.
Viraha separation.
Outkantya, anxiousness.
Outkantya anxiousness.
Katara, being aggrieved.
Katara
Katara being aggrieved.
Raja, King Yudhishthira.
Raja
Raja King Yudhishthira.
Tham, unto him Vidura.
Come unto him Vidura.
Come unto him Vidura.
Arhayam chakre, offered.
Aryaham chakre offer.
Arhayam chakre offered.
Kruta, performance of.
Krita performance of.
With the performance of
Asana, sitting accommodations.
Asana
asana,
sitting.
Accommodations.
Parigraham,
sitting
arrangement
accommodation.
of.
Parigraham arrangement of.
Parigraham arrangement of.
Translation, please repeat after me. Due to anxieties and long separation.
Due to
anxieties and
anxiety and long
Due
separation,
to anxieties and long separation,
They all cried out of affection.
They all cried out of
out
affection.
of
they all
affection.
cried out of affection.
King Yudhishthira then arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception.
King Yudhishthira then arranged to offer
King
sitting
Yudhishthira then
accommodations
arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse 7. Tam bhuktavantam vishrantam.
Tambhuktavantam vishrantam.
Tambhuktavantam vishrantam.
Asinam sukhamasane.
Asinam
Sukhamasane.
Asinam sukham asane.
Prashrayavanato Raja.
Prashrayavanato Raja
Prashrayavanato Raja.
Prahatesham chasrunuvatam.
Prahatesham
Sahatesham cha
Srinavatam
Srinavatam.
Tam bhuktavantam vishrantam.
Tam
Tam
Bhuktavantam
bhuktavantam
Vishrantam
vishrantam.
Asinam sukhamasane.
Asinam
Asinam sukham
Sukhamasane
asane.
Prashrayavanato Raja.
Prashrayavanato
Prashrayavanato
Raja
Raja.
Prahatesham chasrunuvatam.
Prahatesham cha
Prahatesham
Srinavatam.
Srinavatam
Tam bhuktavantam vishrantam.
Tam
Tam
Bhuktavantam
bhuktavantam
Vishrantam
vishrantam.
Asinam sukhamasane.
Asinam
Asinam sukham
Sukhamasane
asane.
Prashrayavanato Raja.
Prashrayavanato
Prashrayavanato
Raja
Raja.
Prahatesham chasrunuvatam.
Prahatesham
Prahatesham cha
Srinavatam
Srinivatam.
Synonyms. Tam, him, Vidura.
Tam
Tam
Him
him
Vidura
vidura.
Bhuktavanatam, after feeding him sumptuously.
Bhuktavanatam
Bhaktavanatam. After
after
feeding him
feeding him
sumptuously.
Vishrantam, and having taken rest.
Vishrantam
Vishrantam
and
and
having
having
taken
taken
rest
rest.
Rest.
Asinam, being seated.
Ashinam being
Asinam
seated
being seated.
Sukham asane, on a comfortable seat.
Sukham
Sukham
Asane on a
asane on a comfortable seat.
Comfortable seat.
Prashraya avanatha, naturally very
Prashraya
gentle and meek.
Prastrayava
Prashraya Avanata
Avanata. Naturally
naturally
very
very gentle and
gentle
meek
and meek.
Raja, King Yudhishthira.
Raja
Raja
King
King
Yudhishthira
Yudhishthira.
Praha began to speak.
Praha began to
Praha began
speak
to speak.
Tesham cha, and by them.
Tesham
Tesham
cha,
Cha and by
and by
them
them.
Srinuvatam, being heard.
Srinavatam
Srinivatam being
being
heard.
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 Translation. After Vidura ate sumptuously and took sufficient rest,
After Vidura ate
After Vidura ate
sumptuously and took
sumptuously and
sufficient rest,
sufficient rest,
Rest.
he was comfortably seated.
he was
he was
comfortably
comfortably
seated.
seated.
Then the king began to speak to him,
Then the king
Then the
began to
king
speak to
began to
him,
speak to him,
and all who were present there listened.
and all
and
who were
all
present
who
there
were
listened.
present there listened.
Purport. King Yudhishthir was expert in reception also, even in the case of his family members. Vidur was well received by all the family members by exchange embraces and obeisances. After that, bathing and arrangements for a sumptuous dinner were made, and then he was given sufficient rest. After finishing his rest, he was offered a comfortable place to sit, and then the king began to talk about all happenings, both family and otherwise. That is the proper way to receive a beloved friend or even an enemy. According to Indian moral codes, even an enemy received at home should be so well received that he will not feel any fearful situation. An enemy is always afraid of his enemy, but this should not be so when he is received at home by his enemy. This means that a person, when received at home, should be treated as a relative. So what to speak of a family member like Vidur, who was a well-wisher for all the members of the family. Thus, Yudhishthir Maharaj began to speak in the presence of all the other members.
Very well, that's so very nice purport. Prabhupada is giving according to the culture in Bharata Bhumi, even if enemy visits the house of his enemy, he should not be fearful. The being received, enemy should not feel fearful. That much caring should be given. This is the culture, Vedic culture. And Yudhishthira is very expert in reception also. Even enemies are received so nicely, then what to speak of his own family member? And after all, Vidur was the ever well-wisher of the family members. And as soon as he comes, everybody exhibited their affection according to their level of relationship with Vidur. Some embraces, some offered obeisances, and so on. And as soon as he has come, after immediate affection reflection of embracing and of exchange of obeisances, etc., Yudhishthira Maharaj has very nicely taken care of this Vidura, that he has bathed him and given him sumptuous food and given him adequate rest, because he is coming after a long time traveling all the pilgrimages. So he must be very exhausted actually. So nicely he has been taken care of, and after he took adequate rest, then he has been given sufficient high seat. And after made him comfortably sit, then Yudhishthira starts speaking. And then they will ask questions. And everybody was assembled there waiting for listening from the lotus mouth of Vidur what he has to say. So let's see what he says. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto chapter 13, verse 8. Yudhishthira Uvacha
Yudhishthira Vacha
Api smaratano yushmat
Api Samarthano Yushmat
Pakshachaya sameditan
Pakshachaya Sameditan
Vipadganad Vishagnayader
Vipadganad Vishabhagnayadir
Mochitayat Samatruka
Mochitayat Samatruka.
Yudhishthira Uvacha
Yudhishthira
Uvacha
Api smaratano yushmat
Api smaratano yushmat
Pakshachaya sameditan
Pakshachaya sameditan
Vipadganad Vishagnader
Vipadganad
Vishagnader
Mochitayat Samatruka.
Mochitayat Samatrika.
Read the repeating.
Yudhishthira Uvacha
Yudhishthira Uvacha
Api smaratano yushmat
Api smaratano yushmat
Pakshachaya smedhitan
Pakshachaya sameditan
Vipadganad Vishagnader
Vipadganad Vishagnader
Mochitayat Samatrikita.
Mochitayat Samatrikita. Synonyms. Yudhishthira Uvacha, Maharaja Yudhishthira said.
Yudhishthira Uvacha, Maharaja Yudhishthira said.
Api, whether.
Api, whether.
Smarata, you remember.
Smarata, you remember.
Na, us.
Yeah, us.
Yushmat, from you.
Yushmat,
From you.
Paksha, partially towards us like the wings of a bird.
Paksha, partially towards us like the wings of a bird.
Chaya, protection.
Chaya, protection.
Sameditan, we who were brought up by you.
Sameditan, we who were brought up by you.
Vipadganat, from various types of calamities.
Vipadganat, from various types of calamity.
Visha by administration of poison,
Visha by
by
administration
administration
of
of
poison,
Agni Adhe by setting on fire,
Agni
Agni
Adhe by
Adhe by
setting
setting
on
on
fire.
fire.
fire,
Mochita released from,
Mochita
Mochita
released
released
from,
from,
yet what you have done,
yet
yet
what
What
you
what
you
have
have
you
done,
done,
have done,
sir, along with
Sir,
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 along
along
with
with
Matrika, our mother.
Matrika,
Matrika,
our
Matrika, our
mother.
mother.
Translation, please repeat after me. Maharaja Yudhishthira said,
Maharaja
Maharaja
Yudhishthira
Yudhishthira
said,
said,
my uncle,
my
my
uncle,
my
uncle,
uncle,
do you remember how you always protected us?
do
do
you
you
remember
do you
how
remember
you
remember
how
how
always
you
you
always
protected us
protected us
us
Along with our mother
along
along
with
with
our
our
with
mother
mother
from all sorts of calamities?
from
from
from all
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 sorts of
sorts of
calamities?
calamities?
Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poisoning and arson.
Your
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 partiality,
partiality,
like
like
the
the wings
wings
of a
of a
bird,
bird,
God
saved us
us
saved
from
from
us
poisoning
poisoning
and
from
and
arson.
arson.
poisoning and arson.
But
Purport: due to Pandu's death at an early age, his minor children and widow were the object of special care by all the elderly members of the family, especially Bhishma Deva and Mahatma Vidur. Vidur was more or less partial to the Pandavas due to their political position. Although Dhritarashtra was equally careful for the minor children of Maharaja Pandu. He was one of the intriguing party who wanted to wash away the descendants of Pandu and replace them by raising his own sons and become the rulers of the kingdom. Mahatma Vidur could follow this intrigue of Dhritarashtra and company, and therefore, even though he was a faithful servitor of his eldest brother, Dhritarashtra, he did not like his political ambition for the sake of his own sons. He was therefore very careful about the protection of the Pandav and their widow mother. Thus, he was, so to speak, partial to the Pandavas, preferring them to the sons of Dhritarashtra, although both of them were equally affectionate in his ordinary eyes. He was equally affectionate to both the camps of nephew in the sense that he always chastised Duryodhan for his integrating policy against his cousins. He always criticized his elder brother for his policy of encouragement to his sons, and at the same time, he was always alert in giving a special protection to the Pandavas. All these different activities of Vidur within the palace politics made him well known as partial to the Pandavas. Maharaja Yudhishthir had referred to the past history of Vidur before his going away from home for a prolonged pilgrimage journey. Maharaja Yudhishthir reminded him that he was equally kind and partial to his grown-up nephews, even after the Battle of Kurukshetra, a great family disaster. Before the Battle of Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra's policy was peaceful and humiliation of his nephew, and therefore he ordered Furokana to build a house at Varnavarth, and when the building was finished, Dhritarashtra desired and his brother's family lived there for some time. When the Pandavas were going there in a presence of all the members of the royal family, Vidur tactfully gave instructions to the Pandava about the future plan of Dhritarashtra. This is especially described in the Mahabharata Adi Parv 114. He indirectly hinted
144.
114.
144.
He indirectly hinted a weapon not made of steel or any other material element can be more than sharp to kill an enemy, and he who knows this is never killed. That is to say, he hinted that the party of the Pandava was being sent to Barnavat to be killed, and thus he wanted Yudhishthir to be very careful in their new residential palace. He also gave indication of fire and said that fire cannot extinguish the soul but can annihilate the material body. But one who protects the soul can live. Kunti could not follow such indirect conversation between Maharaj Yudhishthir and Vidur. And thus, when the inquired from her son about the purport of the conversation, Yudhishthir replied that from the talks of Vidur, it was understood that there was a hint of fire in the house where they were proceeding. Later on, Vidur came in disguise to the Pandavas and informed them that the housekeeper was going to set fire to the house on the 14th night of the waning moon. It was an intrigue of Dhritarashtra that the Pandava might die altogether with their mother, and by his warning, the Pandavas escaped through a tunnel underneath the earth, so that their escape was also unknown to Dhritarashtra, so much so that after setting the fire, the Kauravas were no certain of the death of the Pandavas. That Dhritarashtra performed and last rites of death with great carefulness. And during the mourning period, all the members of the palace became overwhelmed with lamentation. But Vidur did not become so because of his knowledge that the Pandavas were alive somewhere. There are many such instances of calamity, and in each of them, Vidur gave protection to the Pandavas on one hand, and on the other, he tried to restrain his brother Dhritarashtra from such intriguing policy. Therefore, he was always partial to the Pandavas, just as a bird protects its eggs by its wing.
So very wonderful purport Srila Prabhupada has given, that how the Pandavas have been almost slaughtered along with his mother, and they were innocent, but in the cruel hands of Dhritarashtra and his sons, they have been, what I can say, conspiracies one after the other was made to kill the entire family along with Kunti Devi. But Vidur was very pure devotee, and he is a well-wisher of this Panduputra, that he felt them as his own sons. Just like the bird with its wings protects the eggs from the eagle or any other danger. In the similar way, Vidura was protecting this particular Pandava children along with their mother. So this is showing the affection of the Vidura towards the Pandava family. So this partiality is very visible and envisioned by all in the palace. So, on the other hand, if you see, Vidura was not only protecting Pandu's family, he was also advising. He was the advisor in the parliament of Yudhishthira with Dhritarashtra. So he was advising Dhritarashtra that please do not indulge in such sinful activities. Since Pandu is no more, you are supposed to give equal affection to the Panduputra also. So much advices he has given. Bhishma and Vidura, they both used to discuss and they give a lot of advices to Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra was never to hear any of their advices, but he was driven by the ill-fated Duryodhana's desires. So these are all the problems. So in politics, you see in the family, there is no safety for the Pandu families. If there is no association properly, then there is no safety at all. Similarly, everybody in this material world, they don't have any safety. They accept one death for giving up another death, which means they're exchanging their bodies one after another. Each body comes with a death personified, a guarantee to it, and they still accept it. It is because of lack of Krishna consciousness. So once one becomes Krishna conscious, then why he will accept a death? A body that has death, who wants it? Everybody wants to live eternally. Everybody wants uninterrupted pleasure. So from that perspective, no one wants to die. That does not mean that no one wants to die means they are accepting a body that will die. That is their mistake. So if they become Krishna conscious, started from chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, associating with pure devotees, accepting a bona fide spiritual master, conduct the life according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita under the bona fide guide of spiritual master, then he need not accept any more body that comes with death. The bodies cannot be separated from its death. The body comes with death. Why one should accept the body with death and then he thinks, I don't want to die? This is contradictory. We voluntarily accepted a body that comes with death. That's our problem. So why should we accept a body with death? Let's develop our body that is eternal, blissful, and, full of knowledge. So there's no ignorance. You don't need to go to school. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to learn. You're full of knowledge by nature. But just because forgetfulness of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have fallen a prey to the three modes of material nature in the Maya and accepting the body with death and then think, I don't want to die. This is foolishness, right? At least make best use of this bad bargain that somehow I have accepted the body that comes with death. So before I give up this body, let me not prepare to accept another body with death. Rather, let me become my original self as the servant of Krishna, as an eternal servant of Krishna. That should be the goal of life. That is the purpose of living. So that is called doing, best use of bad bargain. Accepting a spiritual master and following in Bhakti Yoga is the only means to protect. Otherwise, nobody can protect. As long as one is thinking himself with the body. Because the death comes with the body. How can another body who also comes with death will protect this body? Nobody can, protect anyone but Krishna. Krishna and his pure devotees, they have the capacity to take you surpassing the death. No more you will accept a body that comes with death. You will accept your original constitutional body, which is full of Satchidananda Vigraha, and you will be engaged. You have to remember that consciousness. Like when we sleep at night, we dream. That is called subtle body dreams. So we have two types of dream in our life. One is subtle body dream, another is gross body dream. The subtle body dream is when we are sleeping, when we are asleep. And then when we awaken, then we are in the gross body dream. So when will we come to life? To come to life means to become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, we are already in dream. While sleeping, subtle dream. While living, gross dream. Huh? So gross dreams seem to be very real. And while sleeping, the subtle dreams seem to be very real. This is illusion. As long as we don't awaken, that is why called Krishna consciousness is to be awakened. We are sleeping. We are in dream. Gross or subtle. The so-called living is gross dreaming. And when sleep, then subtle dreaming. So we have to awaken our Krishna consciousness in order to reinstate ourselves in our original constitutional position, so that we don't need to accept this death personified bodies and then dream on that. No need at all. Waste of time. It is waste of time. You cannot perceive anything. Na bhaved grahyam indriya. You can never ever understand Krishna with the so-called gross senses, dream. So we must seriously to take to Krishna consciousness, especially those who got birth in this particular Bharata Varsha. So they must become Krishna conscious and help others to become Krishna conscious. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, Bharata Bhumile Haila Manushya Janmayara. Those who got birth in the Bharata Bhumi, especially in the human form. When you got the human form, Apna Sartakara, Kara Paraupakara. So become Krishna conscious and help others to become Krishna conscious. The others are those who are outside India. Every Indian should do that. So this is the goal of life. This is the purpose of life. This is the purpose of reading Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, accepting bona fide spiritual master, to revive our original consciousness in connection with Krishna and engage in our constitutional duty as related to Krishna. And, what we should forget, we are remembering. What we should not forget, we forgot. We should never forget Krishna, always remember Krishna. And we forgot Krishna and remembering this body as self and dreaming. Gross dreaming and subtle dreaming is going on day and night. Now, this is a waste of time. So we must make best use of this particular situation that we have been trapped into. Because of, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, all this Acharya Parampara, we have got an opportunity that you know that you are trapped. If somebody doesn't even know he's trapped, that is how we were. But now that we are warned, why you are trapped. So please, there is a way to escape. And this is the way. Chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavatam, take association of pure devotees, accept a bona fide spiritual master. All these things are available within your trapped environment. This is by the mercy of Krishna. So take best use of this particular environment. Avail all this facility provided by Lord Krishna out of affection. He is giving you all these things, and then escape from the trap. Krishna gives you a way to escape from the trap. Krishna has not trapped you. We trapped ourselves by thinking ourselves as what we are not, by rejecting Krishna, forgetting Krishna. This is our mistake. But Krishna has not forgotten us. He is within the trap. He is sending his people at risk in the trap to save others. So we should take best use of this environment and become Krishna conscious. So that's the purport. So let's wind up. Any questions or comments or realization anybody has, please do share with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you very much for your association. So let's assemble back tomorrow at 7 o'clock with the Srimad Bhagavatam class to continue after chanting the holy name of the Lord. Till then, Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Pavan Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Bhagavat Satsang ki jai.
Jai.
Today is Ekadasi. Vaishnav Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Jai Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanande.